Hey guys, thanks for jumping onto the blog. I'm super excited to talk about 100% responsibility, so let's jump in straight away. Like I said in the other video, 100% responsibility is about taking responsibility for how we contribute to certain situations in our own lives. It can be really common to blame someone else or to feel shame or guilt within ourselves. And when we do that, we lose a sense of autonomy. There's an external force that is in charge of that situation. And we want to avoid that, and we want to be able to accept ourselves for our own contribution to the life that we live. And that's what 100% responsibility is all about. So there are a few different things that can stop us from taking 100% responsibility. There's the idea of bean counting, which is counting out the contributions of yourself and others. It's important to know that 100% responsibility is an all or nothing kind of situation. If you're accepting 99% of the responsibility, there's still that 1% that is going to someone else. And we want that awareness of our contribution and our acceptance of that contribution. So we do need to take the full 100%. Another aspect is the blaming or shaming. It's completely natural to try and work out what went wrong, what happened. And so the blame of someone else and the shame of ourselves can be completely natural. Yet it is still something that we want to avoid. Stonewalling, when we put our walls up and when we try and avoid anything else, that doesn't help. It kind of leaves everything staying the same. The idea of social comparison, very similar to bean counting. The idea of comparing ourselves to others or other people to others and how that contributed to the situation. Or even just being out of integrity, blaming ourselves because we could have done better or we should have done better. Those kinds of things aren't super helpful. So how do we take 100% responsibility? The big piece of it is acceptance. That is the biggest piece. So the first thing that we want to do is identify the issue that we're not taking 100% responsibility for. After that, we want to give ourselves a space to reflect on that. And that can be a physical space, like going into a meditative kind of sense or something like that. It can just be a mental space, a freeing space that allows us to properly think. If you know any mindfulness strategies, that can be super helpful. If you know any self-care strategies, which I hope you do, that can also be super helpful. After that, it's important to reflect on any resistance that you have to taking responsibility. These are commonly blames of other people that, well, if they didn't, or well, they should have, or blaming ourselves of, we could have done better. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe I could have done this. Things like that. Some other things that we can say instead are, this issue is staying with me because of this. This present issue reminds me of a time when, throughout time, I'm noticing a continued pattern within myself. These kind of questions that we can ask ourselves to reflect on that. And I have an activity as well that you guys can have a look at that compares 100% responsibility versus 0% responsibility that has some of these kinds of questions you can ask. The next step is to reflect on that situation and the contribution. Was it? What happened and how did you contribute to it? Was there something that maybe you missed? Was there something that communication wasn't as good as it could have been? Maybe you forgot something like that. The things that create that kind of contribution. We want to avoid blaming or shaming at that time. We want to avoid something of like, maybe I should have communicated better. We can accept I could have communicated better and it's okay that I didn't. It's that acceptance that we want to keep going with. After that, we want to find balance and calm within ourselves within that contribution and accepting that 100% responsibility of what happened, how you contributed to it, and the fact that it's okay that that's what happened. And it's okay that you feel that way. Again, accepting the feelings that you're feeling throughout this process. It's okay if you feel frustrated. It's okay if you feel sad. Anything like that is super important. The more you can accept yourself in the most general sense, the more easy it is to flow through this philosophy and so many others. So let's jump in. I've got 2 videos for you. I have one by Brené Brown that talks about her experiences with blame. I have one from the Conscious Leadership Group that speaks a little bit more about the idea of taking responsibility. And then I have an activity for you guys that allows you to reflect on a situation with 0% responsibility and 100% responsibility. So a lot to work with. go as you do. Again, thank you so much for jumping on. I'm super excited about this, and I'll see you next time.